What happens when you finally decide to walk away from the toxic family members who've been draining your soul for years? The answer might shock you, and it's way more twisted than you think. When you cut contact with toxic relatives, something almost supernatural occurs. They don't just miss you, they completely lose their minds. But here's the thing nobody talks about. Their reaction isn't about love or missing you. It's about something much darker. The moment you step away from toxic family members, you're not just leaving, you're removing their emotional punching bag, their source of control, and most importantly, their mirror. These people have spent years projecting their insecurities, failures, and self-hatred onto you. You've been their dumping ground for every toxic thought, every cruel criticism, and every manipulation tactic they've perfected over decades. When you suddenly vanish from their lives, they're forced to face something terrifying, themselves. Think about it this way. Toxic family members operate like emotional vampires. They feed off your reactions, your pain, your willingness to engage with their drama. You've been their reliable source of supply, always there to absorb their negativity, always available to be blamed for their problems. When you walk away, you're not just removing yourself, you're cutting off their lifeline to emotional chaos. And that's when the real madness begins. The first reaction you'll see is complete and utter panic. Not the kind of panic that comes from missing someone they love, but the panic of a predator who just lost their favorite prey. They'll start reaching out frantically, not because they want to apologize or change, but because they desperately need you back in position to continue their toxic games. You'll get those manipulative texts, those fake emergencies, those sudden family obligations that somehow require your immediate attention. It's all calculated, and it's all about dragging you back into their web of dysfunction. But here's where it gets really twisted. When their initial panic doesn't work, when you don't come running back to fix their problems or absorb their abuse, they enter what psychologists call the smear campaign phase. Suddenly, you become the villain in every family story. You're ungrateful, you're selfish, you're the problem that's been destroying the family all along. They'll rewrite history to make themselves the victims, and you the cruel abandoner who destroyed their happiness. The gaslighting reaches levels that would make professional manipulators jealous. What's happening beneath the surface is even more disturbing. These toxic family members are experiencing what experts call narcissistic injury, a psychological wound that occurs when their control over you is threatened. Your absence forces them to confront the reality that they can't manipulate you anymore, and this realization sends them into a tailspin of rage and desperation. They're not missing your presence, they're mourning the loss of their power over you. The really shocking part, your decision to leave creates a void in their lives that they can't fill with anyone else. You see, toxic relationships aren't random. They're carefully constructed systems where each person plays a specific role. You were probably the scapegoat, the one who got blamed for everything that went wrong. Or maybe you were the golden child whose achievements they could claim as their own. Either way, your role was essential to their toxic ecosystem, and without you, their entire dysfunctional system starts to collapse. This is when you'll start hearing through the grapevine about how much they're suffering without you, how the family just isn't the same, how holidays are ruined, how they cry themselves to sleep wondering what they did wrong. Don't fall for this manipulation. It's all part of the show. They're not suffering because they miss you. They're suffering because they've lost their favorite target for emotional abuse. But that wasn't the whole story. The most disturbing reaction happens when they realize their tears and guilt trips aren't working. When they understand that you're serious about cutting contact. When they see that you're actually thriving without their toxic influence in your life. Something even darker emerges. They don't just accept your decision and move on like healthy people would. Instead, they double down on their toxicity, often becoming more vicious and desperate than ever before. The truth is, your absence holds up a mirror to their souls, and they can't stand what they see. For years, they've avoided looking at their own behavior by focusing all their attention on controlling and criticizing you. Now that you're gone, they're forced to sit alone with their thoughts, their failures, and their deep-seated insecurities. And instead of using this opportunity for self-reflection and growth, they choose to blame you even harder for abandoning them in their time of need. This is just the beginning of their psychological unraveling, and what comes next will reveal the true depth of their dysfunction. When toxic family members realize their manipulation tactics aren't bringing you back, they unleash a spectrum of emotional reactions that would make a Hollywood drama look tame. But here's the twisted part. These aren't genuine emotions about missing you. They're calculated responses designed to punish you for daring to escape their control. And what you're about to discover will expose just how deep their dysfunction really goes. The first emotion they'll weaponize is sadness, but not the kind of healthy sadness that comes from missing someone you love. This is performative sadness, tears that flow only when there's an audience, grief that's broadcasted on social media, and heartbreak that conveniently appears whenever they need sympathy from other family members. They'll post old photos of family gatherings with captions like, "Miss the good old days," or "Family isn't the same without everyone together." But don't be fooled. This public display of sorrow is just another manipulation tactic designed to paint you as the heartless family destroyer. Then comes the anger, and this is where their true nature gets exposed. The mask comes off completely, and you'll see rage that's been building up for years. They're not angry because they miss you. They're furious because you've disrupted their power structure. You've proven that their control over you was an illusion, and that realization drives them absolutely insane. This anger often manifests in explosive outbursts to other family members, sudden fits of rage over unrelated issues, and a general atmosphere of hostility that poisons every family gathering you're not even attending. But the most revealing reaction is fear, raw, primal fear that their toxic behavior will be exposed to the world. They're terrified that you'll tell others about their abusive patterns, their manipulation tactics, and the real reason you walked away. This fear drives them to launch preemptive strikes against your character, spreading lies and distorted versions of events to anyone who will listen. They know that if the truth comes out, their carefully constructed image of being the good family member will crumble to pieces. The silent resentment is perhaps the most dangerous reaction of all. This is the slow-burning hatred that festers beneath the surface, the bitter poison that infects every conversation about you. They resent you for being strong enough to leave, for having boundaries they couldn't cross, and for showing them that their behavior has consequences. This resentment seeps into every interaction with other family members, creating an atmosphere of toxicity that spreads like a virus through the family system. What's really happening here is a complete identity crisis that shakes them to their core. For years, maybe decades, they've defined themselves in relation to you as your parent, sibling, or relative who knows what's best for you. Their entire sense of self has been built around their role in your life. And when you remove yourself from that equation, they're forced to confront a terrifying question: who am I without someone to control? This identity crisis manifests in bizarre and desperate behaviors. Suddenly, they might try to fill the void you left by targeting another family member with the same toxic patterns they used on you. Or they might become obsessed with your life from a distance, stalking your social media, pumping mutual friends for information, or even hiring investigators to keep tabs on you. It's not concern, it's a desperate attempt to maintain some connection to the identity they built around controlling you. The most disturbing part, they often become convinced that you're the reason for every problem in their life. Lost their job? It's because they were too distracted worrying about you. Having relationship problems? It's because your absence stressed them out so much. Health issues? Obviously caused by the heartbreak of your departure. They literally cannot accept responsibility for their own problems, so they make you the scapegoat for every bad thing that happens after you leave. This psychological displacement reaches truly shocking levels when they start involving other people in their delusions. They'll convince extended family members that you're mentally ill, brainwashed by outsiders, or going through a phase that you'll eventually snap out of. They'll recruit flying monkeys, other family members who become their agents in trying to guilt, shame, or manipulate you into returning. These people often have good intentions, but they're being fed a steady diet of lies and distorted truths about your departure. The chaos they create in response to your absence reveals the true nature of your family's dysfunction. Healthy families would miss you, but ultimately respect your decision and hope you're happy. Toxic families? They treat your departure like a personal attack on their entire existence. They can't let you go peacefully, because letting you go means admitting that their treatment of you was wrong, and that level of self-awareness is beyond their emotional capabilities. But here's what they don't realize: their extreme reactions are actually proving that you made the right choice. Every manipulative text, every guilt trip, every attempt to drag you back into their drama is confirmation that leaving was necessary for your mental health and well-being. Their inability to handle your absence with grace and maturity exposes the very toxicity that drove you away in the first place. What happens next will shock you even more, because their desperation is about to reach levels that will make everything you've seen so far look like child's play. When toxic family members realize that their sadness, anger, and manipulation tactics have failed to bring you back, they enter their most dangerous phase, complete and utter desperation. What they do next will reveal the true depths of their psychological dysfunction, and it's more disturbing than anything you've witnessed so far. This is when they pull out their most devastating weapons, and the lengths they'll go to will leave you speechless. The desperation phase is where they throw every manipulation tactic at the wall to see what sticks. Suddenly, they'll have medical emergencies that require your immediate attention. Family members will start dying or getting diagnosed with serious illnesses that only you can help them through. They'll orchestrate family crises that somehow always require your specific involvement to resolve. These aren't coincidences. They're calculated psychological attacks designed to exploit your compassion and drag you back into their toxic web. But here's the most shocking part. When even fake emergencies don't work, they'll start targeting the people you care about. They'll try to turn your children against you, claiming you're abandoning your family responsibilities. They'll poison relationships with mutual friends by spreading lies about your mental state or character. Some will even go as far as contacting your employer, your spouse, or your children's schools with fabricated stories designed to destroy your reputation and stability. This is when you realize you're not dealing with hurt family members, you're dealing with people who are willing to destroy your entire life rather than let you escape their control. The mask has completely fallen off, and you're seeing them for who they truly are. Individuals so consumed with maintaining power over you that they'll sacrifice everything, including their own dignity, to get you back under their thumb. What's happening psychologically is a complete breakdown of their constructed reality. For years, they've lived in a fantasy where they were the loving family members, and you were the problematic one who needed their guidance. Your departure has shattered this delusion, and instead of facing the truth about their behavior, they've chosen to double down on their toxicity. They'd rather destroy you than admit they were wrong. But here's what they don't realize, and this is where their plan backfires spectacularly. Every desperate attempt to drag you back, every manipulation tactic they deploy, every person they try to turn against you, actually strengthens your resolve to stay away. Their extreme reactions become undeniable proof that cutting contact was the right decision. You start to see patterns you never noticed before. Manipulation tactics that worked on you for years suddenly become transparent, and their true nature is revealed in all its ugly glory. The most twisted revelation? They're not actually trying to repair the relationship, they're trying to punish you for leaving. Their goal isn't reconciliation, it's revenge. They want to make you suffer for daring to prioritize your mental health over their need for control. This realization is both heartbreaking and liberating because it finally shows you that there was never genuine love in this relationship. Only possession, control, and exploitation. Meanwhile, something incredible is happening to you during this process. The space their toxicity once occupied in your life is being filled with peace, growth, and authentic relationships. You're discovering who you really are without their constant criticism and manipulation. Your confidence is returning, your anxiety is decreasing, and you're forming healthier boundaries with everyone in your life. Their absence is creating room for your true self to emerge. The irony is absolutely mind-blowing. By walking away from toxic family members, you're not just saving yourself, you're potentially saving them too, though they're too consumed with rage to see it. Your departure forces them to confront their behavior in ways they never had to before. Some will use this opportunity for genuine self-reflection and growth. Others will double down on their toxicity and become even more isolated and bitter. But either way, you've disrupted their destructive patterns and given them a chance to change even if they refuse to take it. The most powerful realization comes when you understand that their extreme reactions have nothing to do with loving you and everything to do with losing control over you. Healthy family members would be concerned about your well-being, would try to understand why you felt the need to leave, and would work on themselves to repair the relationship. Toxic family members, they focus entirely on punishing you for leaving and finding ways to force you back into submission. Here's the haunting truth that will change everything. Their reaction to your departure tells you everything you need to know about who they really are. Love doesn't stalk, manipulate, or destroy. Love doesn't create fake emergencies or spread malicious lies. Love doesn't try to isolate you from support systems or sabotage your happiness. What they're showing you isn't love, it's ownership, control, and narcissistic rage at losing their favorite target. The final, shocking reality? Walking away from toxic family members doesn't create a void in your life. It reveals one that was always there. The emptiness you feel isn't from missing them, it's from finally recognizing how much of your life was consumed by their drama, manipulation, and abuse. As that emptiness fills with genuine peace, authentic relationships, and self-love, you'll realize that leaving wasn't an act of cruelty, it was an act of survival. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is to walk away and let the consequences of their choices finally catch up with them. Because in the end, their reaction to your freedom reveals everything about their character and absolutely nothing about yours.